Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, welcome to yet another Lynn Cullen Still Alive. It is October 14th, and as usual, we are inundated with important news stories. The only problem is where counter-program Joe Biden's town hall, which will air on, I believe, CBS or ABC, one of those, on another broadcast network. And they will counter-program that so that on tomorrow night, what would have been an opportunity for Joe Biden to speak uninterrupted to Americans and answer their questions has now, and this was to be, you understand, the debate, the second debate. So instead of that, NBC has given Donald Trump, after he refused to do a virtual debate, has given him 90 minutes of free airtime without having to deal with Joe Biden at all. And by doing so, they have pulled, I'm sure, a lot of people away from Joe Biden's town hall. Now, I have to tell you, for a news outlet to be played like that, to play into a candidate's, in this case, the incumbent's, game plan, is outrageous. And I want you to remember two things. NBC is also the network that made Donald Trump. They gave him, was it 14 years on The Apprentice? They made him millions and millions of dollars and helped him peddle this false brand and narrative of him being this extraordinarily successful businessman. And it was that image that NBC News offered up to America's credulous citizenry that got him elected president. And now they're giving him this gift. And let me just add that he will have a much larger audience than Joe Biden, because this will be carried not just on NBC, not just on broadcast, it will be carried on MSNBC, their cable outlet, and CNBC, I believe, another cable outlet. Let me read to you what little Tony wrote. So I'm reading that NBC News has decided to air a Trump town hall on Thursday. At the same time, ABC will be airing Joe Biden's town hall. I will be boycotting NBC from here on in. Myself, a nightly NBC News watcher, am done with NBC News, and that includes MSNBC. You effing swine. This is unforgivable, and you have lost me as a viewer. Might be a good idea to change your plans, NBC, because I am not alone. Little Tony says that means no more Morning Joe either. Boycott NBC. That is who I watch if I watch broadcast news, and the reason I watch them is because Jeopardy follows them. But I'm out too. No, I'm out too. And little Tony adds, the bright spot is I will never have to see Chuck Todd again. That's perfect. I am so in tune with that. So in tune with that. God. Wow. And somebody else posited, and it's so true. You know what these damn networks want? They don't want a runaway election. They want drama. They want to tighten things up. And they're hoping something like this will tighten up this race. Yeah, NBC, you're done. I will never again turn to you. I'm sorry, PXI. Ain't your fault, but I'm done with them. You are dead to me. Man. Okay. Something I really want to talk about, and I think Susan and I spoke of it a little bit. By the way, I did not watch, again, any of the Barrett. Well, that's not true. I watched about 10 minutes and then realized that I was correct in not watching. And I saw a quote by another justice of the Supreme Court, Elena Kagan, that absolutely reaffirms my decision not to waste my time watching, or not to get my blood pressure needlessly elevated. When Elena Kagan was a young law professor, she wrote an article in which she said this about Supreme Court nomination confirmation hearings. She said they are a vapid and hollow charade. That is true. That is what they are. And she went on to say, the safest and surest route to the route, I believe is really how it's pronounced, the safest and surest route to the prize lay in alternating platitudinous statements and judicious silence. So that's why I'm not bothering. Screw it. We have a caller. Let me get the caller in, and then I bet I'm never going to get to this. Okay, go ahead. Hello.
Hey, Lynn.
Hi.
Every time he goes on TV, his polls are going to sink more. So I think that's great he's on TV. When he's on TV and he does rallies and he comes out of the White House, his polls will sink more and more, and Biden will lead higher. His numbers will get higher. So that's great that he's on TV. The more he's on TV, the more he looks stupid. He's not good at town halls, so he will lose badly. And we will win this, and it will be over with. Then we'll be able to throw a pie in his face, tar and feather him, and kick him in the ass and say, get that out of here. And then we'll have to correct all his mistakes. I just get tired of all this down, down, down. We're going to win this, and let's stop talking this way. We're going to win it. That's simple. We've got it. We just got to vote. That's all we got to do. Okay, we'll see you. Goodbye.
Bye. Still, boycott NBC. And by the way, I haven't read this, but Bree in Malaysia has sent in 2 articles that says that these are analyses that indicate that the election may be much closer than many pollsters and commentators think. I was thinking the same thing today. I mean, everybody's getting a little too sure of themselves. We need to play this to the end like we're losing. We need to double down, really. Okay, I wanted to talk about these militias because they pose a clear and present danger to us. And I want to be clear about this. And I'm frankly a little bit freaked out when I hear and I understand that these militias are clearly in violation of almost all states' laws and also federal law. And yet there they are. They're openly showing themselves. Sheriffs openly embracing them. And let me just give you some law. And this is from the legal director for the Institute for Constitutional Advocacy at Georgetown, Mary McCord. She says this: these groups often cite the Second Amendment's mention of a well-regulated militia for their authority. But the reality is that Supreme Court precedent makes quite clear that the phrase was not intended to and does not authorize private militias outside of government control. The Second Amendment does not protect such activity, and all 50 states prohibit it. Well, I just want to say this. I guess they might prohibit it by law, but they sure as hell ain't enforcing it, right? This is mind-blowing to me. So now we know that one of these militias planned to kidnap a governor. These groups, these militia groups, and again, the name, words matter. These are domestic terrorist groups. I mean, this is like ISIS in America. They train together in paramilitary techniques, in firearm use. They are heavily armed and often appear, as we know, because you can see them on our streets in full military gear. So when the President of the United States tweeted, "Liberate Michigan," why, they took that as an order. Now, they often usurp the function of law enforcement. They did that in Kenosha. You'll recall that's the group that this kid Rittenhouse, who ended up killing 2 people, was part of. And you will recall as that so-called militia, as those homegrown domestic terrorists roamed Kenosha's streets, fully armed. The police, fully armed, drove by them, gave them water, thanked them for their support. Would they have done that if the protesters were armed? 48 of the states of this union have provisions in their constitutions that explicitly require the militia to be strictly subordinate to civil authority, to state authority. None of these terrorist groups are that. And they sure as hell ain't well regulated. The Supreme Court, in an important case in 1886, upheld the constitutionality of state laws that made these kinds of militias unlawful. And then again, in a decision that was written by Antonin Scalia in 2008, it again reiterated that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to bear arms for self-defense, but in no way prevents states from prohibiting private paramilitary organizations, aka terrorists. So the reality is that these guys are in violation of the law, and they should be arrested. And these are the guys that Trump is calling out to keep an eye on the polls, to intimidate voters. And this woman, this constitutional expert, says, state attorneys general and local prosecutors and law enforcement officers and election workers must know these laws. They must know about them and be prepared to enforce them. They should announce this in advance and consider taking preemptive action, cease and desist orders, prosecutions, civil litigations, and that these efforts must continue after the election when the threat of civil unrest could be at its greatest. Private armed militias have no constitutional or legal support in the United States or in any of the states' own constitutions. And we are starting to think it's business as usual with them. They are not to be tolerated in our country. You should know that two of the people who were active in the first meetings of the Michigan militia, you'll recognize their names because they went on to kill 168 Americans. Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols were at some of the earliest meetings of the Michigan militia. Understand this and ask your, your representatives, write to Josh Shapiro, write to, the cops here. How dare they let these guys roam the streets as if they have the right to do so as a group that is attempting to appear as if they are a law enforcement group. So, Beth writes regarding NBC, Comcast, based out of Philadelphia, is the parent company of NBC Universal. Here is their corporate phone number. Oh, great. Calling them will do more than calling poor WPXI or NBC headquarters in New York City. So I will give this out. Maybe, Amy, you can put this up. The number for Comcast, which owns NBC, is 215-286-1700. 215-286-1700. And you can flat out tell them, as a business decision, this will come back to haunt them. Thank you for that. Also, I want to, oh God, there's so much. Well, wait a minute. Let me stay here with, sorry, forgive me. Yeah, I'd think I'd be more organized, but the reality is I sure as hell am not. And what happens is, your comments send me off in another direction, and that happens. But I want to share with you a little piece of information that I did not see reported anywhere, except the Pittsburgh Jewish newspaper, and it's worthy of more coverage. A guy named Hardy Lloyd has been in federal prison for some time. He's been in federal prison in and out for quite a number of times. He is a well-known white supremacist. He was released from federal prison October 6th, 12 days ago. For all I know, he's right back where he used to be, which is trolling around Squirrel Hill or the South Side. This is a guy who lived in those two locales, was first arrested in 2004, sentenced to 30 months, followed by 3 years of probation or supervised release. I don't know what they're saying. Anyway, he was charged with killing his girlfriend in Squirrel Hill. He was acquitted of that murder, but found guilty of other crimes. And after the acquittal for murder, he took to the internet bragging about the murder. He is on the Department of Homeland Security's domestic terrorism watch list since 2009. That's the year he celebrated the death of the 3 Pittsburgh police officers who were shot and killed on duty. He is thought to be a genuine threat to the Jewish community, which he's been quite clear about. He has also said in blog messages that anyone who supports an assault weapons ban in Pittsburgh must be targeted and their families murdered. And he urged his supporters that if this Pittsburgh assault weapons ban wasn't overturned, which it was, of course, that they should target Jew Hill, which would be Squirrel Hill. So he's out. And he's out there somewhere in this environment. And I see a quote here, why it doesn't give me a lot of... The guy who heads security for the Jewish community here, something we didn't used to have, says that he is a potential threat and that the Jewish community here has been in touch with federal, state, and local law enforcement. And he says the FBI is actively involved. The state's attorney's office is actively involved, and the Pittsburgh police know him well. But the fact remains that in light of the fact that he is now a free man, it is imperative that the community remain vigilant. Just wanted to pass that fact on. And one more on the Jewish front. A high school principal in Florida lost his job 2 years ago when he said this to a parent who was questioning the school's teaching of the Holocaust. And he said this in an email, so it's there. I can't say the Holocaust is a factual historical event because I am not in a position to do so as a school district employee. I do allow information about the Holocaust to be presented and allow students and parents to make decisions about it accordingly. I do the same with information about slavery. So in other words, here is a principal of a school who's just flat out saying that when it comes to things like the Holocaust or slavery, he does not allow that to be taught as factual, really. It is some kind of, supposed historical events, and I guess they present both sides. I don't know. Anyway, the school board this is in Palm Beach, Florida, was sufficiently freaked that they threw him out. He didn't take that sitting down, and the update is he has been reinstated. He will receive full back pay and be off again. There you go. The Holocaust, slavery, well, I know there's some people that get really freaked out about that, but, we can't. Were any of us there? I don't believe so. So, who knows? Also, saw this in the New York Times today, which I've been wondering about. Every state has its own rules about this election. When ballots are sent, when ballots can be processed, how late after November 3rd maybe a ballot could get in if it was, all of these states have come to different conclusions. And one of the reasons that we very well may not have a clear winner on November 3rd will be in large part because of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, two of the states that allowed Trump to attain the presidency. Because both of those states do not allow any processing at all. There's pre-processing stuff you can do where you check off that this person has voted. Maybe you don't open the envelope, or you do open the envelope, you don't look. I don't know what, but there are states, a lot of states, that when they get these ballots, they start processing them so they're not waiting until, but not Wisconsin and not Pennsylvania. It is only on Election Day that anything happens to those hundreds of thousands of ballots that are not on machines. These are paper ballots, right? When I look at how states differ, it's just amazing. And we need to correct this. A ton of states start the process well ahead. Ohio starts pre-processing on October 6th. They're doing it now, as is North Carolina, as is Florida, Arizona, Nevada, Minnesota, Georgia. They get ahead of it. And in a lot of other states, they start counting those votes before November 3rd. They've got a whole hunk of people who voted. they start to tabulate. Arizona does that on October 20th. Nevada on October 19th. Kentucky on October 1st. Colorado, October 19th. Us? Nothing. Zero. Nada. I don't know. Boy, I wish we can flip our legislature. We need to rethink. You see, we've been under Republican control for so long, our legislature, that they have done what Republicans do, Wisconsin as well, when they control the legislature. They put as many roadblocks in place as they can. And what I want to remind people of, which I think we've forgotten, I don't think there's any doubt that Biden is going to win big in the vote. But how many times do we have to be burned by the Electoral College? So it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Hillary had 3 million more votes. Biden could have 6 million more votes, 8 million more votes. But if those voters are not sitting in the right places, Trump could be reelected. I'm just saying. I have something I didn't plug this. I wanted to surprise you. Ryan Deto is here.
Hello.
Hello. I was ferreting around in my old brain for your exact title. Senior writer, is that it? What's your
news editor now?
Your what?
I'm the news editor now.
Oh, and that's a step up from senior writer. You're the news editor.
Yes, technically, I guess.
What is that? Giving you more work to do?
Yeah.
And was there a commensurate raise in pay?
Not really.
I mean, okay. Now I have to tell you, I normally don't watch local news. But I was watching a few days ago because I wanted to see reporting on Giselle Fetterman. And
yeah.
And so I'm watching, and the first story was not about Giselle Fetterman, which I was shocked at, but it was a really interesting story.
Yeah.
It was about a mail carrier who'd been putting tons of garbage out. You go ahead. You take this story because this is unbelievable.
Yeah, there was apparently a mail carrier in Baldwin, PA, in like the South Hills, and he had been putting out bags of trash, like several bags, 8 bags, I think, of trash out for a while, I think. And apparently those bags of trash were full of mail or undelivered.
They were full
mail.
of mail. He brought the mail. He and the neighbors say, oh yeah, he had like 7 or 8 of these big black bags out there every Sunday night because they pick them up on Monday morning.
Yeah. Apparently they said at least in that week that there wasn't any ballots in there.
Yeah, but the others all went into the trash. Think of how many weeks.
Yeah. Yes. I think there's obviously a possibility that some ballots could have been thrown away. So definitely track your ballot. It hasn't gone in. You still have time to request another one, I believe, until the 19th.
Well, wait. Now, his stuff, the mail he would have been given to distribute, was aimed at a specific part of Pittsburgh. It wasn't Baldwin.
Oh, that's right. He is apparently a mail carrier in Mount Oliver, which is
in Mount Oliver.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mount Oliver, a little borough within the
city.
That's like completely surrounded by the city.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought there was some Bloomfield or Lawrenceville connection too. No?
No, not that I know of. No, I believe it was Mount Oliver. Yeah.
Okay. So this guy, his name, by the way, we know who that is. His name is Sean Troche.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. German or something.
Sean Troche, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is now, under obvious investigation and is not working at the moment. He hasn't. Right. So who's investigating? I know the Postal Service has its own folks. Yeah.
Yeah, they have their own Inspector General, the USPS Inspector General, but I believe they also turned it over to the FBI.
Do you know how what happened that somebody all of a sudden said, "Hey, there's mail in those bags"? Who?
I'm pretty sure it was just neighbors that noticed all these bags, and they know that he's a mail carrier that works there, and they're like, "Why does he have 8 bags of trash?" And so I'm sure that
somebody might have
sent some pictures. I think they tipped it off to KDKA, who first reported the story, and KDKA went there and got some pictures of the trash bags. And I was like, what the heck is this? So, I think that's how it happened. I think people knew he was a mail carrier, and so that was suspicious for them to see all those bags of trash. I mean, 8 bags of trash is a lot of trash.
Week after week.
Yep.
So, but the reason when I saw the city paper, your story this morning, you've uncovered another piece of interesting information.
Yeah, it's much worse.
It makes it worse, right? It is.
It's already worse. Yes, this man is apparently a really big, supporter of the QAnon conspiracy theory, and he has several posts sharing QAnon conspiracies. Many things alleging that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are tied to the Epsteins and some underground pedophilia ring. For those who are unaware, the QAnon conspiracy theory is a pro-Trump conspiracy theory that posits that elites and Democrats are running sex trafficking rings and eating babies.
Well, sure. And
right.
that who some of the people are who are involved? The Dalai Lama and Tom Hanks.
I mean, it's quite
beyond
insane,
belief,
to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes, and really, it is insane. It is beyond belief, but it's actually a huge problem in America right now.
And it's spreading internationally. And it's spreading internationally, and it's growing.
It's humongous. There's so many Q supporters that go to Trump rallies. There are Q supporters that have won elections and will likely be seated in Congress this upcoming session. It's this massive problem. Facebook finally did something about it, and they deleted every large QAnon group on their platform because it was spreading like wildfire there, and a lot of people were pressuring them for years really to do something about it. They finally deleted them all. It's a big problem, and I mean, clearly this mail carrier was sharing QAnon things on Facebook. That's like I was able to get screenshots that people sent to me, and he was sharing these things on Facebook. And again, these things are shared thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes, of times. And conspiracy theories are very in vogue right now. And this is
they always listen. It's always fertile ground when people are frightened, destabilized. Yeah, there's that. Right. This is exactly the environment that also leads to what we fear we could be heading into, which is this kind of violence from the right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's again, it is, the conspiracy theory is funny in a way because it's so insane that you'd have to be kind of, off your rocker a little bit to believe it. but at the same time, it's also pretty serious, and people do believe it. So we have to be really wary that this like could lead to some kind of violence or destabilization or all these other things. And the fact that a mail carrier who's responsible for delivering mail, believes these things and, is sharing these things openly is a huge cause for concern. I think it's a huge cause for concern that maybe the UPS, the USPS and a lot of big agencies, I mean, they need to maybe start looking into monitoring their employees' social media, not in a way that would that's like really wary, but at the same time, if people are sharing these things, why, it just seems a pretty bad system for somebody to send me screenshots and then me report on it is the only way this information gets out,
And that's how it got out. This guy has taken this stuff down now, but somebody had made a screenshot.
Family members had taken it down. Or they convinced him now because his Twitter is still up, and I mean that doesn't have his name attached to it per se. It used to on if you do like a Google search, it still comes up, but he still has some crazy stuff on there. But it's really this terrifying kind of thing, and the story.
I want to say that the QAnon conspiracy theory, which you say is just you'd have to be crazy. I don't think you do have to be crazy because it takes a lot of the tropes of the kind of anti-Semitic conspiracy theory and just turns them just a little bit because Jews for hundreds and hundreds of years were accused of taking little babies, Christian babies, and killing them and drinking their blood or using their blood to make matzah. That was one of the big, Jews were killed in pogroms all the time for people getting whipped up by this. And not only were the Jews doing that, but they were running the world, right?
Yeah, right.
And this is part of QAnon too, that there's this, while they're not drinking baby blood, they are running the world.
Right. Well, I mean, they are positing that they are eating babies. So, I mean, and they are doing these things. And yes, you're right. I mean, it is attached to a deeper kind of racist and anti-Semitic, conspiracy that, that all these things are somehow underground. And I think you're right. Yeah, you don't just have to have like a mental illness to believe these things because obviously because there's such a large amount of people that are believing this, and it's also tied to this other thing that's really starting to sweep it. I mean, it's directly tied to this other thing that this idea that there's this massive human trafficking problem in America, which is just not true at all.
It's not true. I know, but there's a lot of people who believe it.
Well, and honestly, news constantly parrots it. Anytime the FBI does a trafficking thing, I've noticed that the Pittsburgh police have been doing a lot of searches recently for a missing child, and they broadcast it on social media. Initially, they broadcasted one that happened in Beachview, allegedly that happened in Beachview. That was oh, we need to search for this missing girl. Everyone share. Apparently, the quote unquote missing girl was just another girl had said, "Hey, I saw some stranger steal some girl over there in the woods," and then they believed her, and then they ran on it, and then the girl later kind of walked back her story and said, "Oh no, that's that's not really what happened," and they put out this huge call, and it's it just feeds that conspiracy that there's this huge problem. 99% of missing people are returned. It's just never. It's not a.
And they're also taken by a family member, right? I mean,
exactly. It's almost always a close family member or close friend.
Right.
Sorry, it's just something that we really have to.
I know.
Confront.
Wow. Well, I don't know. Scary stuff. And why do I think that there was a second mail carrier that's now under some suspicion? Are you aware of that?
Oh, you are thinking of another story that I saw on the TV news that I didn't put in my story because I wasn't sure if it was connected. But yeah, there was some trash found. There was some mail found in a trash at the Prasad Center in Lawrenceville.
There it is. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if that's connected to the other mail carrier, but I did also see a story about that. So I'm not sure about that one though. So I don't know if that's
dear God in heaven. Well,
yeah. I would say turn in your ballot to the satellite offices or find your way downtown during the day and just turn it in yourself, because that's the easiest thing. On the weekends, 2 more weekends, they have offices all over the county. CCAC Homewood, I think, South Park Ice Rink, North Park Ice Rink.
Well, they change. I don't know that Homewood is up the next.
Right.
I don't know. So yeah, you got to check that out at the Allegheny County website.
Yeah, go to the website. Find out where they're doing. Just go ahead and turn in your ballot in person. That's the most secure way to do it. You can also, if you haven't signed up yet, I might consider just voting in person. That's what I'm going to do. That's my plan. I walk a block down to my,
that's what my son's going to do too.
Easy.
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
Just like going to the grocery store. It's just like, it's going to be around that crowded. So I'm just going to wear my mask and we're going to, it's going to be fine.
Absolutely. Hey, Brian, thanks so much for your good reporting, and good God, keep it up.
Well, thanks, Lynn, for having me on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Right.
Bye. Let's see here. Gigi writes, there were 2 mail carriers who were getting rid of mail. One is the one you're discussing. The other was someone who delivered mail in the Lawrenceville, Bloomfield area. And one discarded ballot, I think it was a ballot request, was found. Good God. And she says, good job, Ryan. Yeah. It's really one unsettling thing after another, huh? And, here, like we're trying to not have the Supreme Court become, what's the point? The Supreme Court is already a Trump court. Allow the Senate to be stopped. Unbelievable. There's no opinion. They just, put out this unsigned order saying that this very important 2020 census, which the Trump people have been trying to mess with since it began, as you'll recall, they've got a victory. It's a big victory for Trump. And I'm a little unclear why there's only a 1 dissent. Well, maybe the others just didn't bother to write, the dispirited liberals on the court. But Sotomayor did say it is an intolerable, I don't have the full quote, that it will have an intolerable effect on the count. And, Trump has said from day one that he doesn't want undocumented immigrants to be counted. But you see, the Constitution disagrees, and it makes clear that the census is about counting all human people bodies that are in the country. And it says nothing about their status. It doesn't say only citizens will be counted. No. We have a caller. Caller, go ahead, please.
Lynn, and that's why he totally sucks, is because he makes it up as he goes along, and it doesn't matter if there's any truth to it. And because he's the president, he has authority. He has authority to talk this way.
And he has power. He has real power.
And it doesn't matter how stupid the stuff sounds. It's people buy it, just like they do the QAnon. It's
incredible.
It's unbelievable. Hey, I just to cap off what you guys were talking about, on Saturday, October 17th from 9 to 5, and Sunday, October 18th from 11 to 7. You can go to the county office building, South Park Ice Rink, Community College South, Boyce Park Ski Lodge, and Shop and Save in the Hill District.
Okay, so those are the locations this coming weekend.
That's the ones coming up immediately. And then for the 24th and the 25th, same times, 9 to 5 and 11 to 7, Saturday and Sunday. It's, again, the county office building, Boyce Park Ski Lodge, Community College South, Community College Northside, and the North Park Ice Rink. So it changed a little bit from one weekend to the other.
Now, the downtown thing is not the city-county building, is it? When they say the county, where do we know?
Yeah, county office building. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's the one with the Caligari statue in front.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
just clarifying, because the address it says is Forbes, and that's on Grant. I'm confused by it.
Well, here's the phone number then. It is 1-866-OUR-VOTE. So you have to turn that number.
Okay, 866-OUR-VOTE.
OUR-VOTE. And if you'd rather go online, it's capital VOTES, capital P, capital A.
Votes, PA?
Correct.
Okay, all caps.
Yeah. No. Just capital V.
And a capital P.
and then OTES.
Okay.
And then capital P, capital A.
Gotcha.
.com.
Okay. Good information.
If you get 2 votes, if 2 people are listening, do that instead of the other, and it works. Hey, maybe we win by 2 votes. I don't know.
We got it. You gotta vote.
If you don't So anyway, hey, nice hearing from you. The connectivity has been tough, but I know you have nothing to do with it.
No, God knows I don't. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate the information, too. Thank you.
Enjoy autumn.
I will. Bye-bye. Just want to add here, Josh writes, this is interesting because my son sent me a flyer of this that he saw. He says you were just talking about that dangerous white supremacist that was released 10 days ago from federal prison. Last weekend, there was a neo-Nazi punk rock show in the area held to celebrate his release. I didn't know it was to celebrate his release. I saw the flyers for the show. In the local music scene, word went out to be on the lookout for Nazis coming to Pittsburgh for the show. They had a lineup of bands. One stuck out in my mind, called Blue-Eyed Devils. Yeah, there were flyers around town warning of symbols and tattoos to look out for and to be aware and vigilant. Very disturbing, says Josh. Well, this is where we are. Isn't that something? And here's also something a little disturbing. Jonathan writes, more than 28,000 voters in Allegheny County have received incorrect ballots. 28,000. Let me see if I can get more information here. The manager of the county's elections division said this was a failure on behalf of our contractor. Well, here you go again. We were talking yesterday about, what did they privatize this crap? There was a failure on behalf of our contractor. I apologize and commit that we will do everything within our power to ensure we are not plagued by any other issues. Well, what about the 28,000 people who don't have correct ballots? They were the result of a ballot image mapping error by Midwest Direct. The company contracted to handle the printing, collating, and mailing of ballots. Now, we had a caller yesterday who was freaked out because her sister in Georgia, Virginia, something like that, also had trouble getting a ballot and found out that it wasn't coming from the government. It was coming from some private entity that was screwing it up. Anyway, this guy says incorrect mailings are being corrected and new correct ballots will be delivered to the post office beginning on Thursday through Saturday. Most are expected to be delivered to voters the week of October 19. Now, here's something disquieting. Officials say they don't know how many voters returned their incorrect ballots. If a voter has already returned one of the incorrect ballots, that ballot will be segregated and a new ballot will be mailed to the person. But how do they know that if they don't pre-process, if they can't do anything with these ballots till November 3rd? Oh, God. Midwest Direct. Good job. I guess we don't have, this is why we don't have taxes being raised. We don't have a government that's capable of handling all of that, I guess. So you have to, but it's just too important. It's too important. Rosemary says the county office building, which is on Forbes, is not the city-county building, which is on Grant. Well, where the hell? There are parking spaces set aside with orange cones. I don't know. You can see why. I mean, if you're prone to anxiety, this is not a great time. We've got callers. So, hello. Hello? Go ahead. Oh, hung up? Okay. But somebody is telling me, yeah, it's not the one with Caligari's statue. It's, why can't I find it? It's not the one with Caligari's statue in front of it. The county building is around the corner. Okay. Close, but no cigar. Okay. So it's around the corner. God almighty. Sorry. Hey, a little noted item that I do want to say something about. And that is the news that this drug that Trump was given, this cocktail that I guess people think really seems to work very well, was the scientists and researchers who came up with it. In order to do the research that came up with this, they were dealing with tissue from aborted fetuses. And Trump is, like every Republican I know, is on record vociferously opposing any research that uses fetal tissue. And in fact, tons of scientific research has been hampered or had to be abandoned because of their pulling of any. Why am I having trouble talking? They're pulling if they are using fetal tissue because they've really restricted it. And according to researchers, the president's decision restricting fetal tissue research has just cut the knees out from under many, many promising lines of investigation. Understand that this fetal tissue is some decades old. it can be used. Don't ask me, I don't understand, but for decades, fetal tissue has been crucial to scientific research and has resulted in treatments for conditions from birth defects to cancer, Ebola, and fetal tissue has been particularly important for studying the immune system. And that is why a lot of these companies that are now racing for a vaccine are using fetal tissue, and they're forced to use this fetal tissue from the 1970s because for some reason the Republicans have said, well, that's so old, who cares? I don't know. I don't understand. But here's the president being saved by a drug resulting from fetal tissue. He hasn't said boo about it. Okay. Oh, God, we're out of time? When did that happen? Okay, I guess we're out of time. Guys, thank you very much. Let me get Henry in right before I go. These ballot issues are incredibly disappointing. They had one job. All these states should have started on January 1, 2017, getting ready for this election. No doubt this will all land in the Supreme Court. Stock up on bourbon because we're going to need it. Thank you, Henry. I'll leave the last word to you. Be well. See you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.